You're 22 years.
Wait,
What?
Did you ever notice that I got bangs? You didn't notice, huh?
I didn't want to say anything because they're like a puppy that has the dog, that has the hair over their eyes. I'm like, what's that all about? Can you push that out of your eyes? I'm going to bring my hair down in front.
It's either bangs or Botox. It's one or the other.
Jeez. Okay, I don't know how it.
That's not what we were going to say.
Apparently, she missed it. I said, I'm going to hit record. You're 22 years old. You have $150,000 in debt. You have a degree. You come out into the work world. You've done exactly what you were told to do, and you can't find a job. You're working at Trader Joe's. No offense, Trader Joe's. Love Trader Joe's. But that's a challenge you have. If that even sounds remotely like you, this episode is for you today because we're going to reframe this into a situation where you're saying, oh my gosh, you know what I notice? The future is bright for entrepreneurs. Now, for entrepreneurs, not employees.
That's
Welcome,
right.
Leslie. Hey, my name is Jeff Harrison, along with Leslie Spoor. This is a twisted, bent, and exhausted entrepreneurial podcast. We're excited about today because it's going to be a little spicy. Going to be some controversial topics we're talking about because it just is. And here's the thing. You've heard me say this before. You can either skate to where the puck is and miss the boat, or you can skate to where the puck is going and change your life.
You're mixing your metaphors. The puck
I'm not.
And boat.
No, I didn't say that.
You said you've missed the boat.
You have missed the boat. If you decide, that
doesn't work.
Jeez. It worked for me, Leslie. Okay. So we're going to talk about, we're really talking about, hey, the future is bright. We started off with saying, a lot of people coming out of college right now, they're not finding those entry-level jobs that used to be there. And this truly is because AI and automation has been implemented. And they're not hiring as many of those junior people to do research because, let's face it, you can do research with Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini 3.1. You can do all of that. Right. And it can do it faster, cheaper, and you don't need those people. So what do those people do?
Well, they have a couple of options, one of which is vocational, but
they already have, excuse my expression, they have a shitload of debt because they've just come out of college and they have $150,000 in debt and they got to go to work. And the best they can do is they can be, somebody at McDonald's making $32 an hour probably in California, or Trader Joe's. What are they going to do?
They're going to have to reframe how they think about what they do, right? Yeah. And they probably are going to have to add a little bit more education, not necessarily form. I mean, they're going to have to learn about what opportunities there are above the automation, what kind of human jobs are available to them with their background and what their knowledge is.
Well, okay, I'm gonna get in the dirt. I'm gonna get in the dirt here for a second. Okay, maybe for long in a second. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
Forever, at least a generation, we go to school and we're taught what? How to be an employee, how to work 9 to 5, how to go to work for jobs, work for 35, 40 years, retire, let the next generation take it over. That must change. I often will say,
you can't do that anymore.
Well, that mindset has to change. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed in the education system. They're still teaching them how to be employees, and they come out and they're going, there's nothing there for me. It's like saying, we need you, and you said this in the last one, we need you to know how to create buggies and whips.
Yeah.
There's just not a market for that.
No.
But you're a specialist. You're great. You went to college for 4 years for that, and you come out. But here's where it shifts, Leslie.
Okay.
The mindset must shift immediately from I need to find a job versus I need to think like an entrepreneur and think, what problem can I solve? And then let me leverage this technology to solve that problem, and then go to that business and say, I have an answer for you. And I have knowledge. I think you said it's tribal knowledge that I can do that. Does this make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I was reminded that Uh, when I go into when I used to consult on the road in the aerospace industry, as you know, and when I would walk in there, and I do the same thing when I do my 5-day challenge with lifestyle management companies, the first thing I say to them is, what would make your job easier? If you could have anything you wanted, assume anything is possible. What would make your job easier? And most of the time they will say, oh, you can't do this. And that's not true, because we can make software do anything, right? Which is the same as AI. AI is just another form of software, if you want to think about it like that, that it is coding that you've written to automate a process so that it can be more efficient, so that your profit margins are higher, so that it takes less hands-on experience, right? So
Okay.
it's really the same difference. And so you have to be thinking about, you're right about the problem. What kind of problem can I solve? Or what problem do I experience? I think that the entrepreneurial industry, I don't know the exact statistics, but it is a big piece of America, right? People built on the backs of people that do their own businesses,
Yep.
bakers, blacksmiths in the old days, all these different kinds of service-based businesses that people did because they saw the need for it and they created them. Today, a lot of those businesses are definitely still needed, but they've automated like you said, the lower level functions. Immediately comes to my mind insurance companies, because the process of processing a claim never changes. There is a process that you go through to get a claim into the pipeline. A lot of that can be automated. You can put in certain keywords and it says, if it says this, send it that way. If it says this, send it that way. That's what they did in the baggage claim, or the baggage industry, right? Then at the airport, they put little stickers on there and it sends it one way for one thing and one way for another. They automated that. Used to be people that were down there. You notice there's a lot less lost luggage than there used to be because it's automated, right? So we're going to be automating a lot more processes in all industries. And so now your job is to think, what kind of problem do I experience that I could fix? Within the bailiwick of the education that I got. If you became a microbiologist, which is a really cool profession in my point of view, what problem did you notice when you were studying that could be fixed through automation, through a different change in process, some new antidote for, some kind of fish disease? I mean, what is that? No, that's marine biologist.
Did you say fish disease?
I said microbiologist, and I meant to say marine biologist, as I was thinking fish. But you know what I'm saying is that we all know different things that are wrong in different areas. And it was just like the last podcast we were talking about how women don't know what clothes to put together in their closet. I have nothing to wear, right? We talked
Notice,
about
guys, notice Jeff didn't say this.
No, the
Leslie
said this. Because I'm like that. I was never taught how to be a fashionista. So I really struggle with trying to put clothes together. Having an app that said, hey, take these things and put these together and this makes a nice outfit would be super helpful for me. If you're a kid coming out of college with a fashion design degree and you also are interested in technology, you could create the app to do that. Right? And then you're part of the AI world and not excluded from it. And it's not just apps. I mean, it's all kinds of things, but there's, you have to think differently about how to apply your education.
Well, I want to throw something out at you that here's the coolest thing. You do not need to be a computer programmer today to use technology. And I'm going to give you a very specific situation here. There are companies out there like Salesforce and HubSpot and Go High Level that they are built for the masses. So when you look at them, they have a lot of things that you'll never use because they don't apply for you, because they're built for the masses. You coming out of college with an understanding of that specific niche could say, wow, instead of let's say a plumber, hooking up with Go High Level, and they're spending, or let's say HubSpot, and they're spending thousands of dollars a month for that CRM that they use probably less than 10% of for their business. You could say, what if I could design you your custom CRM for your specific industry, for your business, and you just test it on one plumber and it becomes successful, and now you sell that to all plumbers. Now it's a customized program. Now, just to hit you right on that, or really to drive this point home, that's exactly what Leslie did with her software. It is a very specialized need. She did it because she needed it, and now she offers it to other people who do exactly what she does. She doesn't offer to the masses because it doesn't work for the masses. It works for a very specialized field. This is the world we live in today.
Right.
This is what we do. These are the opportunities. Now, think about this. Plumbers, roofers, electricians, you name it, gardeners, landscapers, anything you can imagine, you can create your own software for that industry. I think the opportunities will now, the mindset just won't work anymore. Like, oh, I'm just going to go get something off the shelf. You don't need to. You can now spin it up on Claude Code or Codex or whatever, and you can have this sucker working in no time at all for a fraction of what it was before. The barrier to entry into being an entrepreneur has never been better.
That's so true. That's so true. I was thinking while you were talking.
Was I leaving you speechless?
No, I'm never speechless. You were talking about that, and I was thinking about how, medical nursing, for one, is something that people go into because it's a kind of a recession-proof industry, right? People are always going to get sick, or at least for our lifetime, and maybe not after our lifetime, but for our lifetime, they're going to get sick. You're going to need nursing, whether that's in-home nursing or hospital or emergency or whatever it is, surgical nurses, all that. So nursing is kind of a recession-proof industry, but even it's going to be subject to AI improvements and changes, and people shouldn't be afraid of it. Financial institutions, banking, stocks, all different kinds of financial institutions are technically recession proof, even though I'm thinking of the stock market crash in 1939 or whenever it was, probably not a good example. But what I'm saying is that in general, financial stuff is pretty good. And you have to find a way to follow your heart and what you want to do. But I think more and more people are going to go off on their own. We're seeing 14, 15, 16-year-old moguls because they had an idea of a game or some product or some way to help people that was able to be automated and produced at volume. And all of a sudden they're like bazillionaires, and they can't even vote yet. I'm so jealous of all that. This is such an exciting time to be alive, because the opportunities are absolutely limitless. And you see that for every generation, because we can be in this country, you can be anything you want to be, which is really the beauty of capitalism and living in this country. And I know a lot of people think that they're told that they're oppressed and that the American dream is gone and you can't do it, but you can have whatever you want. You just have to want it bad enough, work hard enough, and be innovative.
I think too, Leslie, and again, I don't want to go political on this, but I do want to put this out there is if you look at the average mainstream headline when it comes to technology, it's a dystopian type of headline. Mm-hmm. Your jobs are gone. This is being wiped out, blah, blah, blah. So you're being told a story that really is not true.
Right.
It is true in some things, like, okay, Meta, yeah, okay, they let off 8,000 workers, but they also hired a whole bunch of people for a very specific task. And some of these people got a really nice severance that they'll never have to work again. But they don't tell that story, right? So I think moving forward, if we think about this, the number of opportunities are truly endless when we shift our we reframe it. And I think that's where we're at. It's time to reframe this, that technology. What is that whole thing with the Terminator? Was that called Skynet?
Yeah.
You can think, okay, this is going to be Skynet, or it's going to be Star Trek. I like the Star Trek. I like the fact that I can walk in a holodeck and next thing you know, I'm playing, on the first hole of Pebble Beach. I love that. Versus it's Skynet, that the machines are going to control us. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying, if I stick my head into that scenario, life can be very depressing. And life can be like, there's no future. And I think every day, like, here's one thing I'm going to turn over to you.
No, we're supposed to have a conversation.
Every day, I guarantee you, my clients have no idea that every day I live in the world of what if. And what if I could do this differently for my clients? And I give my clients, and you can testify to this, I'm very generous with what I do. And when I find something that works and I've proven that it works, I just roll it out and it makes their life better.
Right.
It makes their business better. I mean, I think of Joe Frazier with Frazier Pest Control. I just saw his report. When we first started with Joe, it's been about 15 months now, they got 93 clicks to their website. Guess how many they got last month for the month of April?
I don't know.
Over 6,000.
Oh, can you do that for my business, please?
No wonder. Well, we are doing this for your business, right? And this is the fun part about this, is it does take some time. It's not an overnight deal, but there's a process for this. And I couldn't have done it without technology, gang.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that people overlook. I don't know what the agenda is. Well, I probably do know, but there's this negative agenda or undertone in the world to tell people that they can't do things. And it's so not true. I mean, you don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to be anything you don't want to be. You just have to rethink, what did you learn in your education? What do you really love to do? And how can you make that serve your purpose?
Yeah.
Right. Those of us who are naturally entrepreneurial, I hate this word. Entrepreneurial. Thank you. Are naturally see opportunities everywhere. In fact, we see too many. I can get, squirrel. I mean, I can get called by a shiny object really, really easy. And I can instantly see the possibilities and all the ways to leverage it and make it better. And it's one of the reasons I'm good at business assessments for people, is because I can see opportunities that other people can't see.
That's right.
And it's great fun for me to do that. As you know, we brainstorm like this all the time. So if you're out there and you're feeling like, oh, AI is going to take over the world and it's not going to include me. First of all, nothing is further from the truth. And second of all, get somebody like a Jeff or a Leslie to come along and help you brainstorm how to find your way. Because those of us who see those opportunities absolutely can help you. And it's crazy to live in a sense of defeatism. Is that a word? Defeatism?
It is now.
It is. Before
it's our show, Pat. It's our show.
We can do whatever we want, right? It's a shame and just completely unfair to come out of college, especially, and have this sense of defeat. I will tell you, I do not have a college degree. Okay, I have a high school degree. And I have a year or two. I have some certifications from continuing education, but most of what I have is hands-on training, street smarts, and saying yes to every opportunity.
That's stuff you'll never forget.
Yeah, that's something that people don't teach your kids anymore. They
Yeah.
don't tell them. I taught my girls that. I said, you say yes to everything. They offer you a position and you don't know how to do it. That's the first thing you should say yes to, because every little bit of knowledge you get is valuable and makes you more valuable. And so I know there's going to be people who say, well, but I can't even find a job. I don't believe that. We can't find good people. I hire people. I have employees. I cannot find good people.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I can't, and I don't know if you know this, Jeff, because all your people are virtual, but when I try to hire somebody, they want to dictate to me how much they're going to work, how much they're going to make, how many days off they get. It's all what's in it for me from the employee perspective. And I'm saying you guys need to reframe your thinking about what's in it for you if I come to work for you, right? What's in it for me if I am able to make a difference in your business? But mostly what's in it for you if you hire me, because you guys don't have any experience yet. And yeah, AI is going to change things, but you don't even know what was there to begin with. All you're being told is there are going to be no jobs. And that's just flipping not true. Those I hear every single day from business owners who say, I cannot find good people. I can't grow my business because I can't find good people to work for me.
Well, and what does that force you to do? To find a way to automate what you would have hired somebody for.
It forces you to do that, because
and then there'll be no opportunity from in the future, right?
Right. So you have to be willing to pay your dues. This is one of the reasons it irritates me no end that they keep trying to raise minimum wage. They say, oh, it's not a living wage and you can't live on it. No, you're not supposed to live on it. Minimum wage jobs were designed to get people in the routine of going to work, learning how to work as a team, learning new skills, learning about customer service. There were
hiring 60-year-old high school kids so they can get their first jobs.
Yeah,
right.
They were all, yeah. I started my first job at 15. That was after I had already done house cleaning and babysitting, and then I got a job at 15 and never stopped working. So you have to be able to be willing to pay your dues, I think. Don't you agree that there needs to come a time where you go and you learn how to be part of the business world?
Yeah, well, two things I want to point out. One is you talked about number of jobs opening. So I decided, hey, I'm just going to look up and find out. As of we're taping this in the middle at the end of May. And as of the latest U.S. Bureau and Labor Statistics, it's called the JOLTS, J-O-L-T data, there are about 6.9 million open jobs. These are jobs that are out in the market that are unfilled because there's not enough people to fill them, right? And so it says industries still showing strong demand include healthcare, skilled trades. I remember seeing a show not long ago where they said right now, there are a need for 140,000 electricians right now in the United States. 140,000.
And they
That's
make
amazing.
A fortune, yes.
They're six-figure jobs. Hospitality, finance and insurance, certain AI and tech-related roles. And this is from the official source is the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this is not something I'm making up. These jobs still exist. So there's plenty of jobs. So if you're getting education in something that says, hey, it's not in one of these, you're almost kind of front loading your future as being challenging, right? It's like pick a target on something. Yes, you should do something you love. But if that's the case, think entrepreneur, not who's going to hire me? And then you, excuse my expression, bitch and moan because nobody will hire me because I want to be this. Well, there's 7 of those jobs on the planet and 5 are already taken and 2 are in Antarctica and you didn't want to go there.
I wanted to be a nurse.
Sorry to be so harsh.
I wanted to be a nurse, I worked in a nursing home when I was young. I wanted to, I love working with old people, elderly, convalescent care, it was a nursing home that I worked in. I really wanted to be a nurse. And what ended up happening is I had to get a job because I needed to work. And I started working at a company at the time it was called Dickie John. They made moisture meters, corn and soy moisture meters for farmers.
Okay.
And I don't even know if they probably have some better way to do that today. I don't know. But I started working there on the line, and I said yes. I worked in the stockroom. I soldered circuit boards. I became an inspector. I did all these different things in the commercial manufacturing sector, and then went on to aerospace. And in that, I was a NASA certified inspector and a regular mechanical and electrical inspector, and then planner, and helped with purchasing and helped with mechanical engineering. I said yes to everything. It was not the path I had intended to take, right? I had 2 scholarships right out of high school that I couldn't afford to take because I couldn't buy the books, So I wasn't able to do, and I'm sure I could have figured a way if I'd wanted it bad enough, but I didn't. Because again, I also got married at 18, which is really, really not wise. But I was in love. So you just do what you do. So what I'm saying is that sometimes the school education that you get is not always the exact path that you get. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Because everybody has to walk their own path in life, and life is full of opportunities. And I see kids that get degrees that end up never ever using them because it turns out in the real world, they don't like them. There's a difference between book smarts and street smarts. There's a difference. I used to work with this lady that had 2 master's degrees. And she would cry at work and talk about how she was on Prozac. And I used to think, oh my God, she's giving women a bad name. And I was just 30 something at the time. And I thought, oh my God, she is just really hurting the rest of us. And I'm not a feminist by any stretch. I believe you can do anything you set your mind to, male or female related, doesn't matter. You can do anything. And so I worked my way up, and I said yes to everything. And now I'm in business and doing what we're doing today. I'm a successful entrepreneur on 2 companies. Have a book published, and the software that we license out. And so it is possible to create your own success, create your own luck. Luck doesn't happen to you. You create it. And how do you create it, Jeff? How do you create luck?
You just get out there and keep doing it. The harder you work, the more people you meet, all of a sudden you're lucky. And, it's like, oh, Leslie is so lucky. Well, wait a second. No, she went to networking events. She did this. She wrote blah, 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 and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, every time somebody's in a conversation about whatever Leslie can solve, they say, well, you should call Leslie. Oh, it's lucky. No. She put in the grind, and she still does it today.
Yeah, you have to, and you can't stop. You cannot rest on your laurels, particularly if you're a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur. Yep, you hit it. I did get it right. Yep. Particularly if you're one of those, because
the E word.
My son-in-law is an electrician, and he got lucky. He got a lifetime job right out of the gate. So he gets bored with it, but he's in a job where he can retire. It has a retirement program. He's only not even 30. He'll be able to retire at like 40, 45.
Wow.
And with a good retirement program, and then go on and do something else. It's like kids that join the military. Both Dan's daughter and son-in-law are in the Navy. She's about to hit 15 years.
Wow.
She was 18 when she signed up for the Navy.
She's a kid.
And so in 5 years, she's going to be able to retire with full benefits, full medical, and she'll only be, less than 40, and she can go off and do whatever else she wants.
Good for her. And thank you for supporting our country. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and I keep telling her, what if you stayed longer? She goes, nope, they're only getting 20 out of me, but I wouldn't be surprised if she stays longer but just because you don't always know the path your life is going to take, but you need to be open to the opportunities, and you need to be looking for how you can make a difference in the world, because nothing is given to us. I mean, was it given to you, Jeff? I know you've worked your butt off your whole life.
No, it's not. It's not. And, I put up here jobs. Job can be a stepping stone. Jobs can be a stepping stone, and you're paid to learn. I mean, I've done I've done many different things throughout my life, mostly in the golf industry and now in marketing. But throughout that period of time when I was young, I did different things, and every one of those, I said, I was always taught to when I said I'd do the job, I did it and gave it my best. But I was also learning. I learned discipline. I learned, all kinds of things. And I was never in a situation like I felt like, what's that word? I felt entitled. Yeah, when I went to work, I didn't feel entitled. I felt grateful that I had that job, and I gave it my all. I didn't care, what they were paying, what the conditions were. I'm the one who signed up, so I'm going to give it my best. And I'm not going to stand around at the water cooler and complain about it and badmouth. No. It's like, that's the mindset I think we need to have shifting today of like, just because you decided to say, okay, I bought a car, my car payments are $800 a month or $1,000 a month, and I have to have a job making six figures and barely get by. I think sometimes we have to re-examine and say, there are some tremendous opportunities, because I'm getting down a really bad path here, because I don't want to be preaching. That's not my goal. My goal is there's a tremendous amount of opportunity going forward. And I really just think our message on the average is negative. And I wanted to make one point here. This morning I was having a conversation with, he's a principal of one of our local high schools. And I hadn't seen him in a while. He says, we're getting ready for graduation. Again, we're at the last part of May. And I said, I'm just curious. I said, how is graduation or graduating class? Is it bigger or smaller? He says, really quite down. He said, enrollment is quite down. I said, really? What's going on? And he said, I don't know. He said, I just know that enrollment is down, and we're starting to now do some things to make, now watch this, to make education fun again. And I said, well, what are you doing? He said, drones. And I said, drones? He said, yeah. He said, we're putting into our curriculum. He said, because so many people are using drones for emergency rescue and, you name it.
Food delivery.
Yeah. And he said, so what we're going to do is, he said, we're going to have classes in our high school to teach people how to do drones, and then also do presentations. Like we've seen those, right? That do presentations instead of fireworks. He said, fireworks. So this year, he said, at the end of our celebration, it'd be like $5,000. It's like 90 seconds. He said, this year, we're going to bring in a group from Colorado to do the drone work. And he said, that's what we're going to do forward. And then all the kids will, and I said, oh my God. So they bought, now watch this, they bought 300 drones.
That is so awesome.
I think doing that. So to me, that's like, hey, he's looking at a future. What could possibly happen? I told him, I said, I would love to talk to the educators, the teachers. He said, because his teachers, as much as he's trying to get them to think forward and do that, he said, they're not thinking about using any kind of artificial intelligence, nothing. They look at it as a threat.
They have to.
Yeah. And if I were a parent right now, knowing what I know about AI, besides the social aspect, I would have a hard time thinking, I'm going to send my kid to school. I could teach them 10 times faster. They would learn 12 times faster if I just gave them what I know using artificial intelligence. We have to put that in the school, because the whole socialization thing is key. We saw that during COVID. The kids who were taken out of classrooms, they're still struggling with that. Anti-socialization.
Well, I think social media is one of the biggest detriments to our society, and they've got to get that under control. But besides that, we said screen, so it made me think of that. We were down with Dan's daughter and her family this weekend, and she's got a almost 3 and an almost 1-year-old. And she was expressing her concern about AI and how that's going to affect her kids. And so the first thing I told her is, first of all, they're not going to know from not having AI.
Yep.
Right. Because
they're the fish, right?
Yeah. They're going to be, well, if you're a marine biologist, yes. If you're a microbiologist, no.
You're just a seed. That's dirt. You've always been in the dirt.
But they're not going to know from not having it. And then we gave her the example of when we went to school, we were not allowed to have calculators in school because the teachers wanted us to learn how to do math ourselves. Yeah. Now, not only do the kids have to have calculators, they have to have specific, with specific functions on them.
Yeah.
So that whole mindset has changed. And the same thing's going to happen with AI. The fact that that principal is bringing in drones and teaching kids about drone technology and how you can do entertainment and stuff, like they have it on AGT, America's Got Talent, all the time. These people that come in with drones and AI technology that they turn into entertainment. The fact that that stuff exists and he's thinking that way shows such an amazing forward-looking thinking thing for kids. One of the things out here is they teach landscaping at one of the high schools in Indio.
Oh, okay.
It's a whole curriculum about landscaping because there are so many landscapers out here in the desert. Or you'd think desert, you don't need them, but we do because we have green belts everywhere.
Yeah.
And so they have a whole curriculum for that, which I think is great because that teaches kids how to be landscapers, right? And then eventually own their own companies and then become designers and become xeriscape experts. I mean, there's so much stuff in it.
So watch this. It changes the mindset from, well, this is all I can do is to be a landscaper to I want to pursue a career in landscaping, but I start out from a business mindset. I already know what it's all about.
Right.
I think that's we were talking about mind shifting. Or reframing. I think that's beautiful. I didn't know that, Leslie.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, because you can own your own business and you can become an expert in drought tolerant landscaping, which is xeriscape, which is we have a big need for that here in the desert because of water, right? And then you can also become a landscape design person that can remodel landscaping either for drought tolerance or just in general. And so the opportunities in landscape, people think, oh, I don't want to go be a gardener in the heat, but there are immense opportunities if you have an eye for design and you like plants and you like to be outside. There's a way to take your education and apply it in a different way. And so the same is true with the drones that the guy is talking about. I think that's fantastic. And what about gaming? How many kids do you know that just can't get off their computer for gaming? Right. Yeah. I know adults that can't get off because of gaming. And so, well, can you design a game? It's easy now, right? With Claude or any of those, you can design a game pretty easily. And it'll debug it and everything. And then it's a matter of marketing. So what's the most important skill that you need coming out of school? I think it's a business education.
Yeah, and I think the hunger to be creative and to solve problems, and I think that falls right into being an entrepreneur versus I want to be hired and I'll solve a problem after you hire me.
Yeah, no, you gotta these days. Well, all days. I mean, back in my day, even I went to work because I needed the money, and I fell into a career path I'd never intended.
Yeah,
but I love it. I absolutely love being in a business advisory, solutions oriented area. I really love that. And that.
It's always fresh and new and exciting.
Always. And, and when there are downturns, and there are, COVID was one, during that period, I created all kinds of new content, right? New how-to guides, hints and tips. Remember when I did all of that?
Yeah.
So that I was already positioned with new products and new services, and you're extending your reputation and your brand. You don't have to stop creating just because you're busy, right? So for these kids coming out of school who are being fed this line of BS about how there's just no opportunity for them, it's not true. There is plenty of opportunity, and it's just a matter of how you look at it. I have a question for you.
Okay.
What made you, because I know you were big in the golf semi-pro or short pro or something like that.
Short?
Well, I mean, like,
you call it
I
short.
I don't know if you were on the actual pro circuit or not, but I know you were like in that realm. What made you change over to marketing? That's a completely disparate industry.
Yeah. I was very happy as a director of golf sales and marketing for a local facility here, PGA West and La Quinta Resort. And a friend of mine came to me and he said, "Hey, we have this show called Golf's Ultimate Signature Hole, and they come in, they shoot these 3 different holes, and then they sell commercials on TV for it." And he said, "Can we do it?" And we decided it was a good marketing thing for our facility because we have 9 golf courses and it's globally known. And so we did that. And he asked me, he said, "Would you be the second person?" So he'd be the host and I'd be the guy that works at the club. And I did. And we shot the program at La Quinta Resort. And like the next day, he quit. He quit that company and he went to work for Tony Robbins. Well, like the next day after that, I got a call from the gentleman. Fortunately, he's passed now, Rich Oliphant. And if you know that name, Dick Oliphant basically built Indian Wells. And he said, "Hey, would you mind being the host?" He said, "You're really good on TV. You're really good in interacting and whatnot." I said, "Sure, I'll do it." I'm like, how hard could it be and what the deal is? Well, I became enamored with that. And then in that process, I also was teaching golf. And he said, "Well, why don't we take some of these and turn them into little golf vignettes and you can use them?" I said, "Okay." So they were really highly done, well done. And fast forwarding that, I thought, and here's that mindset, the reframing. It's like, wow, all of our courses need that, because I started doing these things called Golf Ultimate Signature Hole, golf etiquettes. And so we would send this out to golf courses around the world and teach them about, hey, where to stand, how to fix a ball mark, blah, blah, blah. And the whole idea was we would sell a template with a video each week that they would send to their members or their guests that would mean they would be a better steward of the golf course and increase their speed of play and increase the condition of golf course. And that started the whole ball of thing. It's like, well, I can market this. And I left La Quinta Resort in PGA West and started doing that, and just never looked back. Unfortunately, the golf business, I'll say this as a PGA member, a former PGA member, we're so smart, we don't need anybody to help us. And so it didn't work well. I had to go back out into the normal segment of people, local business owners who said, "Yeah, I do need some help." And that's how I got started with local business marketing.
Well, see that you just proved my point. You started out in golf and you were a golf professional and you were teaching golf and you were working in the pro shop and all that stuff. And then you had an opportunity come by that was not what you were. It was adjacent to the golf industry, but you said yes. And you found that you really enjoyed it. Yeah. And so, that's exactly what I've been saying, or what we've been talking about, is that you have to be open to opportunities when they come to you and not be so quick to say, "Nope, I decided I was going to study philosophy. I want to be Plato. I'm just only going to do philosophy. If I can't get a job in that, then no job for me."
Yeah.
You just can't be that way. You have to say, where's the opportunity? Could I work in a museum and be a docent for all the philosophers? Or can I find an adjacent industry? And then what's the biggest problem about that? What problem can I solve? Not everybody can hear me when I do a tour. Maybe we do an audio tour that can accompany what I'm doing. We had that when we were in the Sistine Chapel. We had earbuds and the guide was explaining stuff to us as we went along. It doesn't help when you take him out, though, like my husband does, and then he disappears and then you're trying to find him. But that's a whole other story.
Apple AirTags in their pocket.
I now have AirTags on him, and I track where his wallet is too. So, so what I'm saying is that I think kids today, instead of buying into all the negativity, would be better served to think for themselves and say, how can what do I want to do with my life? A lot of kids get degrees in things they really didn't have an intention for, but they're forced to pick a path, and so maybe that's not where they're. Look at how many kids play sports their whole high school and end up hating it. My granddaughter right now has been a cheerleader for 3 years. She's going into her senior year. She does not want to do it anymore. Now she's been convinced that she will regret it if she doesn't do the last year, but I don't know if she's going to enjoy it, So, and that's another topic also, but you should, find something you really, really love and then look for a hole or a problem, something that you experience, something that drives you crazy. How could you fix that?
Well, and even that, I put on the screen adjacent industry. Can you solve problems for them? I think about, that list that said, hey, these industries are still doing really well. I think one of them was healthcare. So, you think about people that are in healthcare. Well, what things are they facing? It reminds me of you when you were a consultant and you're traveling all over the place and you have time for these things. And you solved the problem for people like that. And that
Right.
spawned Executive Errands. Well, it's like,
Right.
okay, what challenges do people in the healthcare industry face that you could say, I can solve that? And all of a sudden, it's something that didn't exist, but you started with a very niche down solution that turns into a very successful business. Or skilled trades. Like, as an example, a lot of people come out and they become electricians or plumbers or HVAC, and it's usually one person in a truck, and they're maybe their spouse or someone, they hire somebody to answer the phone, or they have a recorded message and they check their message at the end of the day. What if you couldn't say, I'm going to create an interactive voice agent that will answer their phone, set their appointments, call back, make sure the appointments are there, and just offer it just to electricians? That's all you do because it solves a problem. Or about in hospitality. There's those people work crazy hours. They work all the freaking time. What problem can you solve for them? Finance and insurance. That's probably some kind of repetitive skill that you say, we can automate that. Those are opportunities. And then certain AI and tech related roles, we just need good drugs and liquor. That's all we need. No, I'm just kidding. We'll cut that out. No, we won't cut it out. But those are just in those you're saying, because I can hear the naysayers say, yeah, but the people don't have the money to buy. Those people are in high demand. They're being paid well. They're making 6 or more figures a year, multiple 6 figures a year. They would love convenience. They would love it if they came home and their dog was already walked and is just happy to see him, that the poop in the yard has already been scooped. I'm not saying you become a pooper scooper. I'm just saying there's
I know a
opportunities
guy
out
who
there.
did that. He was a general contractor, and during the housing downturn, 2010, 11, he started a poop pickup business, and it was innovative because at the time there wasn't anybody out there offering that service. And he made so much money and got so successful doing that it spawned other industries, just like your friend that does the barbecue cleaning.
Yeah.
Most people, it's not a cheap thing. It's $300-$400 to clean a barbecue properly. Can you go out and scrape it clean? Yeah, you can. But if you have a barbecue that is, a couple $1,000 and you want it to look good and have a long life, you invest in the money to have it done every year or two, And so the convenience and the experience is what people are looking for today. And I really believe that if kids that are coming out of school or getting ready to go to college and don't really want all that debt can consider a trade. Look what happened with tile. Dan did tile for 40 years. There are so few tile guys these days that because the old ones are dying off or retiring, and then there's no new ones hardly coming up. So to be a tile setter, you make a fortune these days. And what has the industry done to compensate for that? They have these new tub shower options that you can install in your shower in a day.
Right.
You know how long it takes to build a shower from scratch and to tile it and water seal it and all that stuff? A long time. If Dan does that, a really long time, because he's slow. Wow. But what I'm saying is that the industry has had to compensate for jobs because people aren't going into these trades. And so if you're a high schooler and you're looking at college, you really need to consider, do I really want to incur the debt that it's going to take to go to school? And I'm a huge advocate for education and continuing education, but I think there's a trade-off of $150,000 in debt and being in charge of your own destiny.
Yeah.
Right? When you can go and learn a skill, HVAC companies out here, and I know this is true across the country, cannot find technicians. They are screaming for people to install and work on heater and air conditioning systems.
Well, it used to be one of those things, Leslie, you said, well, we're only going to hire people with skilled, they already have a knowledge of that. No. If you can fog a mirror, you can come aboard because we'll train you, because we can't afford not to have any more people on staff. And I think about what you said there with Dan is like, wow, is there an opportunity for Dan to say, how could we take Dan's knowledge and turn it into an opportunity to teach the next generation to do this? Because if you were somebody, I think about this one last year, you were part of this. You helped us remodel our kitchen.
Right.
Is when it came to doing drywall, it's almost like, there were so few people that do drywall. If somebody, like, there's an opportunity
and do it well, by the way,
do it well. That's a in demand situation. Or what'll happen is kind of what you said with the tub and tile thing, where it's just a form put in there, is it will force evolution to say, well, we don't have anybody, so we have to do something different, and people still want these things done. So now, it'll eliminate a job. Does that mean you go out and strike against the people making these tub enclosures? Oh, no, it's not. But I think taking somebody's education like Dan, and he teaching people how to do it, there's an opportunity, because that's
I tried to get him to do a podcast. I tried to get him. Yeah, I tried to get him to do short videos about tile, and he's just not interested in doing it, which is unfortunate, because he is very, very knowledgeable and knows a lot of the tips and tricks about installing tile. And most people watch YouTube videos and try to do it, and they do a terrible job, because tile looks easy, but it is not easy to do.
Yeah.
So, I was married to a drywall the first time around. I like the blue collar stuff. And so the one of the favorite things that we used to do, because we were so poor when we were married, was to go look at model homes and dream of what we wanted to have one day. And he would go into a house and just be fit to be tied because of the poor drywall quality. When you can see the shadows of the tape and the seams of the sheetrock, that's really, really bad. He used to do 3 coats of mud and sand between them, and you could never tell that he did a patch or a job when he was done. And so to do a job right takes some finesse, and it's not just always a YouTube video. You have to have it's all art form, and a skill, these things, electrician and plumbing and drywall and paint. Oh my God, I hate to paint.
All those vocations,
all of them. And there's so much opportunity, and the money you make, what I have to pay vendors to do those tasks is, even somebody in our BNI group, he says, I don't do drywall, I don't do painting. I'm like, but you're a handyman. You don't do drywall, don't do painting. But that's what he's decided I'm not going to do. The reason he said is because both of them are hard to do, and to do them right. Right. Yeah.
So if you know how to do them right, I think the world is your oyster.
Yeah. I think it's just a little bit about reframing. And I wish the media was a little bit more pro small business owners, and telling these kids that they can be anything they want to be.
Well, they are doing that in a way, but there is a little bit of a vilification, if you will, about being a tradesman.
Yeah,
why? But there's not, if you're going to be a YouTuber or a content creator. Oh, that's the future, or a TikTok star. But we need, if you were going to be a vocation, you're going to get vocation in any of the things we talked about, any of the trades. How long does it take? A year? 2 years, not 4 years, and not 150,000?
Apprenticeship is a couple of years.
Okay, but even during the apprenticeship, are you getting paid?
Yeah, usually.
Hello, you're getting paid to learn. I think I put that up there. Yes, jobs can be a stepping stone. Being paid to learn as an apprentice. That's when I started in the golf business. I was an apprentice, but I was making $3.25 an hour. But at the same time, I was still being paid. And then they taught me.
I was going to say, my granddaughter wants to be a tattooist. Okay. And which I think is cool. They make good money. You'd be surprised what a tattoo artist can make. She's so art centric. That's what she wants. She loves art. She could have gone to college for art, but why? She can go apprentice with a tattoo artist, and they told her not to go to school for tattooing. She
Really?
she went and interviewed a bunch of tattoo artists, and they told her, do not go to school for this. Come and be an apprentice, learn what's real, book smart and street smart, right? Yep. Principles and applications. That's one of the things, my knowledge, and this is going to sound horrible, like I'm really bragging, and I guess kind of I am. My knowledge base is the equivalent
We're used to it.
MBA, right? My knowledge base is equivalent to an MBA, except I have hands-on training and did it real life applications of these concepts over and over again. I started a student group at Pepperdine University. I don't think you know that. I started a student group there about business operations management at Pepperdine University, where they teach MBA. That's what they do. And they get real persnickety when you say you have the same business knowledge, but don't have the degree. I don't care. I know the same stuff, but they've learned it from the book. And the books and working are two different things. Now, again, I am all for a college education. There are certain jobs you have to have it, medical for being one. You have to learn all the stuff about the medical industry, whether you're a doctor or a nurse, an x-ray technician, whatever you are, you have to learn. And AI is going to impact those as well. Today, I take my blood results and run them through ChatGPT to have an analysis done to tell me in plain English what the results mean. Because all you get from the doctor is, everything's fine, but you've got red lines and yellow lines. Like, wait a minute, what does this mean? Yeah. And chat will tell you. I don't know if people all do that, but you can run your blood work through there. It's going to tell you what's going on. I run dehydrated all the time. So,
and Leslie's not a doctor, so we're not giving medical advice. This is just her experience.
I don't even play one on TV, and I'm not an accountant either. But I have business knowledge that will help. I can advise people what I do, and then they can take it to their own professionals and find out if that works for them. So I guess the point we're saying is, though, stop me if you don't agree, is that the opportunities are limitless. You just have to think about it differently.
Yeah, I think that's it. At the end of the day, there's a saying that says you're a sum of the 5 people you hang around with, right?
Yeah.
And what that means is those 5 people influence the way you think, act, feel, talk. So if you are surrounding yourself, because anymore, this thing, our phone, is really one of those 5, but it can access another 10. So if you're watching, a network, and I'm not going to say any one of them, you're watching a network that vilifies the future, vilifies your opportunities, that's what's changing your mind. That's not making a decision on your own. I would say sometimes it's time to say, I'm not going to fire you as a friend, but I'm going to put in a couple of more friends that say there's an opportunity here. Like, put in this show, because it's not telling you how bad the world is. There's opportunity. Sometimes there are challenges. Absolutely. You mentioned during COVID. COVID was challenging for a lot of people, but when we came out of COVID, there were a lot of businesses that actually thrived through COVID and grew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not all negative, but sometimes these networks or media outlets will only tell you the negative thing. That's because back in 1964, the line came up, if it bleeds, it leads. It means negative sells more than positive. It hasn't changed in 61, 62 years.
Yeah,
so
but
keep that in mind.
But the problem with telling kids that is that they were not even a twinkle. Their parents weren't even born yet.
But that's just it. They've only lived in that environment. So they see it as, oh, this is the truth. You and I, if you will, when you see this, is like, you can filter some of this out. But sometimes if that's all you knew, like if I try to tell that fish, hey, did you know you were in water? I don't even know what water means. How can I? And it'll argue with me. So I get that. All I'm saying is, if you notice, hey, every time I watch something, they don't tell you that there's 6.9 million jobs in it. They'd say, oh, at one point it was 12 million. Now it's down to 69.9 million. We're in trouble. It means we have a pretty freaking healthy business economy because we have a lot of people employed, right?
I need to hire somebody right now, and I can't find anybody.
There you go.
Because they want to dictate how much they work, what they do, where they go, when they're available.
Here's Leslie's phone number. Call her.
Yeah, call me. I need to hire somebody. I want another ex-home inspector. Those are the best. But no, I'm open to talking to anybody. I'm just saying that it's really hard as a business owner to hire people that are trustworthy, that are problem solvers, that have initiative, and most importantly, they get their self-worth from inside. You know, right now, people are it seems like to me, I'm going to make a generalization. They are so thin-skinned that they want you to constantly pat them on the back. And I'm not a good coddler.
She is not.
I am not.
I can tell you right now.
Yeah, I need
and
you
I don't,
to be
and I'm not
secure.
joking about that. She is not.
I don't with him either. So,
No.
but you learn from me, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Used to be one of those things. If I got an email from Leslie, I'm like, oh shoot, what I do now? Now I look at it as like, no, she's just pointing out the things. Even if I got 99% wrong and there's 1% I would look at it as negative. Like, oh, she wants that 1% fixed.
Right.
That means she's happy with 99%. So I had to reframe that. So keep going.
Yeah. Did you see the thing I sent you about advertising for your content accelerator, the comparison? Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah. I didn't want you to think I was telling you that we needed to do some comparison somewhere. I was just thinking when I saw it, I thought of you and thought, gosh, this would be a great way to frame the content accelerator and the results of the content accelerator in order to, it'd be great because AI loves a comparison, right?
Yeah.
You taught me that. So putting a comparison on your website so it can find it, I thought would be a great option.
Well, I did something like that one time with a client, and they said, wow, you're kind of pricey. You're kind of expensive. Now, this is not expensive. They get a blog, a video, 5 social media posts on 4 different platforms, and an email every week, right? And so what I did is I went out and researched if I just hired somebody to do one of those each and then added them all up, it was like 10 grand. I'm like, damn, I'm not charging enough. Because
but that's the whole point is that you can do things more efficiently so you can charge less for it. And there is something to be said for your knowledge. We've had this conversation. All of us need to understand the value our knowledge brings to the environment. AI is going to automate a lot of processes and cut the work down. But it's your knowledge base that is the value that you bring. Just because you can automate something doesn't mean it's worth less, because it's still your knowledge that created it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of kids coming out of school would benefit by realizing that anything where they got experience or knowledge has value. And then it's just how can they apply it in something that gives them joy? Because work is forever. I mean, I've been working for more than 50 years straight. I had 1 4-year period off with my second daughter, and otherwise I have worked straight through. So it's a long, hard slog. And so you need to, and there's good times and there's bad times and there's rich times and there's poorer times. And you have to be able to roll it and keep your positive attitude. And even I once in a while, and you help reframe me on that. And then I'm good. That's one of the things we do for each other, I think, is that we help keep each other level.
That's a circle of 5,
and
baby.
That's what good friends do, right? So if you're out there and you're listening to this or you're watching it, be aware that we believe in you. I believe in the youth of today and tomorrow, and that you'll be able to be anything you want to be. You just have to think about it different and not see AI as this big, scary boogeyman, because it's not.
Yeah, and I'll end on this, and then we can call it a day, is if you go back and you look at some of our leaders in industry, okay? I'm talking about Jeff Bezos, you talk about Elon Musk, you talk about from Google, Sundar, Bill Gates. Every one of them talk about how bright our future is. And they're talking, we're talking typically a good growth for GDP. They're talking about they're going to have a new way to measure GDP, because GDP for the US, if we had a 3.5%, 4% growth GDP, it would be phenomenal. Well, they're talking about double digits. And I think once we get past some of the political challenge or the challenges in Iran and our gas prices go back down, I think we're going to see some crazy things, because right now our economy is very, very strong in spite of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think again, the future is bright for entrepreneurs. Again, my closing statement is just please reframe it. Think as what problem can I solve versus how can I go to work for somebody else? In other words, not an employee.
I'm going to make it even simpler.
Geez, I thought it was pretty simple.
And this is something I live by and taught my kids. Think, how can I do this? Not why I can't.
I like it.
Think how I can, not why I can't.
I like it.
And I'm done.
Let's call that a wrap. Hey, gang, thank you for joining us. If you liked what you heard, even if you didn't like what you heard, but you have a controversial, I'd love for you to put it in the comments and share this with somebody else who says, and maybe you want to share this and let us be the bad guys. If you have that 22-year-old that's coming out of college and saying, there's no opportunity, and I'm sleeping on your couch, I've moved back in. And you're saying they got to get out on their own. We as kids, a lot of times we couldn't wait till we're 18 so we could move out of the house, not move back in. So,
it'd be a good graduation gift is to buy them. No, I'm serious. Would be to buy them some coaching time.
There you go.
Because then we can sit down with them and say, okay, if it's technology, that's you. If it's business, that's me. And and it'd be like, I'll sit down with you and find out what it is you really love to do, and then give you some opportunities and ways to reframe that into something that can get you moving in the world much, much quicker. I think that'd be a great gift, don't you?
I think so. And I'm going to throw this out there real quick, and we've been going way too long, but June 22, 23, 2026, it's called PS Next. It is the AI conference in Palm Springs. I spoke at it last year. I'll be speaking at it again this year. And one of the things that I noticed, I was at a meeting last week. We're talking about that, and we have another one Friday, but we're talking about the different tracks. And it's not just business. It's for creative. It's for people who are they're saying, hey, it's called the residential track. Like, how can AI help me if I'm retired, I'm living in Sun City or wherever, that it can benefit me? Things like that. And it's across the spectrum. Vibe coding. We have a vibe coding track. What does vibe coding even mean? In hopefully by 22nd or 23rd of June, vibe coding will still be around. It won't have evolved to something else. I call it natural language processing, but NLP. But anyway, this is something happening in Palm Springs, June 22nd and 23rd of this year. That would be a good track to send kids. If your kids are in school and live in the Coachella Valley, guess what? It's free. Send them down there. Cost cannot be the reason they're not coming. So if you have somebody in high school, college, please send them down, and we'd love to have them.
Was it the Palm Springs Convention Center?
Palm Springs Convention Center. Yep. Okay. I wasn't prepared to put that up there, but maybe I'll add that into the link in the description. So
Leslie, because it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Leslie, as always, this is always great to talk to you about controversial topics. Again, our formats change. If you're saying, well, this feels a little different. It is a little different. It's more of a conversation. We're just having a little back and forth, and sometimes it takes some weird turns. But, some of the best rivers in the country have meanders, but they still get the water from one point to the next. So,
oh my God.
What? I thought that, I didn't mix my metaphors.
So corny. Okay.
Jeez. So we're glad you decided to put your boat in our meandering stream and spend some time with us. We really appreciate it. We'll take you from A to B. My name is Jeff Harrison, along with
Leslie Spoor, Concierge Business Solutions. Okay.
We'll see you next time on the Twisted, Bent, and Totally Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. Bye, everyone.
Bye.